I have a fear of connection. I have lots of rules and stories and commentaries and judgments attached to even the most basic interactions with people. So whether this is sort of family or friends or humans in that I interact with on a personal level, or whether it's professional connections, there's this sort of constant ongoing, I don't know if it's an attachment thing or a sort of neurodivergence thing or just something where it doesn't feel easy and natural and normal and like I know how to do it, basically. Whatever the label I could apply, I'm not going to get too into that now. Essentially, I just want to acknowledge and air the fact that it's really hard sometimes to be such an introverted person, yet to try and promote yourself and your work. This goes right from posting on social media, right up to following up or maintaining connections or interactions that have supported you or might support you in the future. It goes to messaging and direct messaging people and interacting with them, or inviting them to do things, or inviting them to attend things, or to do things like opt into something or save a song or whatever the equivalent is for your creative medium. And it's also just the sort of interpersonal, direct, face-to-face process of meeting people, saying your name, interacting, explaining what you do, not being a weirdo, or being a weirdo and recognising that, like, yeah, I just find it all really hard. And I think whatever the divergences, reasons, excuses, labels, differences, whatever are, it just is a fact. It doesn't matter too much. It's difficult. I don't know how to do it. I'm 32 and feel like I'm still learning the codes of how to be a person. And really, I guess what I want to add as well is that maybe the stakes aren't as high as one thinks. So we might have some kind of like rejection sensitive dysphoria. So being basically, that means being like highly sensitive, hypersensitive, ultra sensitive, sensitive to the fact that, like, oh, what if I reach out or say this thing and or send this message or post this thing and nobody likes it, nobody responds, people ghost me, people look at me weirdly, what am I perceiving from their sort of facial blah 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 response to what I've just said? Maybe I'm an idiot, maybe I shouldn't be here, maybe I don't belong. Basically, that internal dialogue, monologue, oversensory emotional turmoil being greater than the actual interaction, which is actually quite straightforward and simple. It's like a dance. I like the language of 5 rhythms and everything being a dance, and basically the idea that, like, when we breathe in and like sense, rather than thinking from a place of like, oh, I should be reaching out and messaging and putting myself out there in these ways that aren't natural and normal to me, like beyond the shoulds, if there is some kind of desire or impulse to share something or receive or connect or have actual interactions with others, that, or, you know, call in your cheerleaders, support, tribe, circle, whatever it is, find people like you. Might not even be a kind of like supporter, patron, fan, audience dynamic. It might just be, I want to connect with people who are like me and that like the same art or music or literature as I do. It's trusting that, like, the more authentic I am, the more myself I am, the more I am in my actual, like, normal way, where I'm not kind of like trying to perform or pretend to be someone else, the more I'm going to actually have a compass that directs me to the people that will connect with me and that I connect with. And I'm still finessing this. I'm definitely not there yet, but I think it's like, it's nice when it's often through my art, through my work, that people friends have formed, or even, it's birds of a feather flock together. And we can only find nourishing connections when we are actually nourishing ourselves and showing up as ourselves. Then those connections will be available, because if we're suppressing and trying to perform or pretend to be someone else, or share in the way that we think other people want to see, then we're not actually being ourselves anyway. So the connections that we might attract won't be from a place of understanding and getting us. So the message here is be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And in terms of connections, it's okay to be like hypersensitive. And I think the more and more I am like just communicative and direct, and I express my vulnerability and say like, oh, I really don't like doing this, or I'm scared to reach out, but I just felt like this might be a good fit for your whatever, or even sending invitations. I find that really hard, even though everybody wants to be invited. I find the prospect of inviting somebody to a gig and them just blanking me or ignoring me, because it's just the culture now. People are just flaky, and it's not necessarily, I don't want to judge it as flaky, but people cannot look at messages for a long time and not respond. And sometimes I'm like, I get sensitive, because I'm like, is that person even like, a connection? Like, why am I even knocking at that door? Like, that door is closed. That door has always been closed to me. That person has never been receptive, reciprocal. That connection has never been a real connection. Yet I look at the doors of the people who don't see me and aren't interested, rather than focusing on the connections and the love and the validation and reciprocation that I do have readily available through lots of different places. So to end on that note, all is full of love, you just ain't receiving. The more we are in our own integrity, the more we can anchor and be in that, the more we can finesse our compass of like, oh, I'm being really me, and then therefore that person, when they are interacting with me, is probably going to feel more connected to me, because it's actually me. It's not like some pretend like loser who is trying to pretend to be like these other people because they look cool and I want to be accepted by them and I want to perform at their festival, but they don't really get me or like me, and I don't know why I am so preoccupied and hung up on it. I think it's probably because the fact that they don't get me or see me, and that's why I'm fixated on them, because I've got a wound there, rather than blinkers, like shifting to the love that is coming in. So that's what we need to do, and then that can augment and expand. All is full of love, and connection should probably be at the core, but also that the medium of the art is in the way. So when we create something, it's probably because there might be a deficit in the capacity to connect or speak it aloud to people in one's real life in verbal terms. So the art is the medium to convey something that is otherwise immutable, uncommunicable. And that's beautiful. So there is a sense that actually the connection of enjoying the art is enough. And that's where I shall leave this message. Thank you for watching.